We're going into your number one.
Yes, number one. Okay,
I have not seen this number one, so I don't know what it is.
You haven't even seen it.
No.
So, but the only thing about it is that if people who know me and they know I'm very much into the indie scene, underground indie scene. I'm so underground, so hipster, so underground. Ooh.
So cool.
But I do like experimental, different, off the beaten track games. I'm not into like big AAA, big budget games.
No.
Like they just don't do it for me. They're just too by the numbers. I like different gameplay, things that are interesting, different. Yeah, I just like that. And this is interesting and different, and also happens to be big and popular.
So I guess the little drum roll into the little number one.
This one's a big drum roll. Yeah, had to be Balatro. Drum roll.
Absolutely. I was going to be really upset if actually it wasn't.
Yeah, I know that you were talking about that, and I was trying to keep it a secret. But to tell you the truth, when I was drafting up this, the game of the year, even for the show here and for the list on the blog, this was always in the number one spot. It hasn't moved, and I have about 6 or 7 games from this year that could have been in this list and have either narrowly met. I'll mention them after this in the bonus game, but very, very close to getting in.
When did Balatro come out? Do you remember?
I think it came out in February or was it March?
I feel like it was near our birthdays in March.
I think it might have been March actually. Yeah. Because Helldivers came out in February and we got that for our birthday, and then I think Balatro came out just before our birthdays, so that would have been the start of March.
Yeah, so this is definitely a game that you've been frothing for.
I have been. You know what? And people probably have like hundreds of hours in this game. I don't have hundreds of hours in it. I have about 60 hours in it. I actually get fairly stuck in Balatro after the green ante, and I think people will know what that is when if they've played it.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
It is.
But it's what I love about Balatro is that it's a centuries old game that is reinvigorated and remade into like a fresh experience on like a classic traditional card game.
I think that's a great opening. Tell us about Balatro.
So yeah, it's for people who don't know or are living under a rock, because this game is everywhere, but it's a poker game that you use jokers to modify your score, and each card or hand type is worth a certain score, and you use jokers to multiply and modify that score to try and get crazy high numbers and scores. So in each ante, which is like a match, so each ante will have a score that you have to beat, and each hand, say a straight, a royal flush, a flush, 2 pair, will be worth a certain amount of points. Obviously a royal flush is like one of the biggest things you can get, and then like a high card or a pair is the lowest, and everything in between will be worth a certain amount of points and then a certain multiplier, and you're trying to get jokers that modify the multiplier or the points, and then you can only have like 5 jokers, and each joker has a different ability. So you might have a joker that just straight up adds like 20 extra multiplier, or you have jokes that can multiply the multiplier. So if you have 20 multiplier, you can then go, this joker adds like, if you have 2 queens in your hand, this joker adds like by 3 times, so you're going 20 by 3, so then you have 60 multiplied by your point score. It's very complex. It's actually kind of a hard game to kind of like preempt and calculate, which I actually heard a story about this game was that he initially had a calculator. I think the developer, I think it's a solo developer as well, he had a calculator almost built into it to show like what scores could be, and I think it became a very different game there because people were trying to min-max the type of cards and hands you could get, and not just playing them and seeing what happens, because a lot of the, well, not a lot of the game, but there's so much going on with the multipliers and point multipliers, and you can get different seals which change cards, red seals, blue seals, and then you can get different enhancements on cards which affect its point score or multiplier score, or add gold that gets you money, which you can buy upgraded cards or upgraded how do I say, like you can upgrade your hand type like add extra multipliers when you play flushes, etc. There's just so much going on, but despite me saying all of that, it's actually very, very simple. And anybody from like, let's not say under 18, because technically it's a gambling game, which I hate that.
I hate
because
it's
it's not a traditional gambling like casino game. It's just because it's like a take on poker.
Yeah.
This game could be 3+. It's not about gambling. You don't spend real money in it. It's just a simple take on poker.
Like Magic.
Like Magic, yeah, like Magic the Gathering.
It is. I would agree. Like it's. I would not associate this with gambling.
No.
And it's not even for the fact of like, because I'm not actually dealing with money when it comes to it. That's not even like what I'm thinking of when I think of gambling. Like, I can understand where people are coming from. As you said, it's based off the game of poker. I'm so fascinated by this style of gameplay because it is so different. Like, just like the whole mechanics behind like the different types of cards, the different styles, doing the multipliers, like trying to then match like the different like rounds you go through, like from the small blind to the big blind, and like just like the bosses and everything you got to go up against. Like there'll be a catch-22, like, oh, you can't play twos this round, or like you can't have a king, or there's like certain ones where they can't do things. Like it's such a fascinating mechanics of a card playing game. Like that's why like I joke saying like, oh, it's like Magic, is because like you're building up your hand as if you're trying to then play it into like a certain like power pack. Like, yep. That's the way I see it. That's why I wouldn't associate it with gambling, but I do get it. I get why it's counted like as classed for it, but it is such a fascinating game.
Yeah, I get it, but I hate that it is, because it stops people who are under 18 from playing the game, because it's that good, and it's technically not. Like, it's not gambling like as in a casino game. It's just because it's poker in a traditional sense, but it's not poker in a traditional sense. But yeah, all that to say is that it's fantastically simple, but it's just fantastically simple. I don't know how else to say it, and it's very hard to explain the game without people playing it, because you say, oh, you're multiplying this and you're multiplying this and you're getting things, but it's actually really simple. The gameplay loop is really easy. You go in, you try and defeat an ante by playing card flushes, you go to the shop after that ante, you buy upgraded cards, same again, into the next ante, cards, bigger money, bigger cards, rinse repeat all the way. You get through 8 different rounds or 8 different antes to get to finish a run, let's say, because it's kind of like a roguelite. But the satisfaction of different things, like the way the different cards move and the clicking and clacking sounds and the flushing sounds of like the cards, like all the lovely little flourishes of the animations and the bouncing and the clicking and the movement and the wavy sort of like flowing. It's just a wonderfully presented, and that's what I love about it. It's a simple soundtrack. The pixel art is really expressive. It's really colorful, but it's also like, it's wonderful. Like, it looks like you're playing on like a kind of a mystical magic sort of like table. It's really lovely presented.
Which, in saying so, it's lovely presented. One of my favorite things that he started to do, the creator, instead of most people always come up with DLCs, he made partnership skins with a lot of known games, being one of my favorite of Stardew Valley. That's true. Others. What other games has he done?
Actually, since last week, since we recorded this, so in December, he's made, I think there's partnerships with Cyberpunk, The Witcher, there's The Binding of Isaac, Cult of the Lamb,
Cult of the Lamb,
Stardew Valley, Slay the Spire. Great shout out to Slay the Spire, one of the best games ever made. God, there's a handful more. There is actually a load more. Oh, Vampire Survivors, which is great that the game's getting recognition, and I love that at the Game Awards and different YouTubers and different kind of media outlets and legacy newspapers and stuff are giving it high praise.
I feel like of every like video we've seen so far, like Balatro is mentioned in there somewhere, and it deserves it because it is so different. Like, absolutely, like when Vampire Survivors came out, that every game after that is a Vampire Survivor style game now.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see if in 2025 does anyone else try to replicate this style of gameplay.
Actually, it's funny you said that. I have seen a few clips of like behind the scenes like developer footage that are making not a rip on Balatro, like as in a poker sense. They're trying to make a rip on, so the same idea
Other
with
styles.
the way Balatro modifies poker. People are trying to do like mahjong or blackjack or etc., different card game.
That'd
So
be really
there has
interesting.
been people like that. I don't know if they'll get to the same highs as Balatro. Balatro just seemed to hit at the perfect time. It's the perfect execution because it's so different, very innovative, very simple, and it's on a classic poker like card game that's hundreds of years old. I actually don't know how old poker is specifically, but it's got to be at least 150,
I'm gonna
200,
go count on
right?
that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it might be, but honestly, if there's one game to pick up this year, it has to be Balatro. It's only like 12 quid. It's on mobile, like it's on phones now as well.
It's gone on lots of platforms like
Yeah.
mobile, Switch, Steam. I guess we've done like a lot of positives. Is there anything as like feedback that you would look to improve or anything?
When I first started writing this, and up until when I started thinking about it, even last week when I finished off the actual post, I did think that yes, there are some problems. Well, there's one problem that I caught on to with the game. So there are very obviously better jokers than others,
Yes.
obviously, and the higher difficulties you go in the game, it's obvious that if you don't get those jokers, the good ones, then you're just not going to win. Regardless, you need to get almost like 2 or 3 really good jokers out of your 5, or well, some jokers can modify the amount of jokers you can have, but say out of your 5 core jokers, you gotta get like 2 or 3 at least talking to each other that are modifying each other, and it's hard to get that, and the higher difficulties you go, the slimmer chances of stuff like that you get.
Would you say that that's to do with the ratio of probability is the issue, is a little too extreme, or do you think it's just that's the like slightly part of the game is to try and chance your arm to see what ones you're going to pick up?
Yeah, it's not even that. That's a good point, because it's not really a negative point. I just noticed that there are vastly different or vastly better jokers, which is fine to have that, obviously. But some of the scaling, some of them are like very obviously better, like really better. And some of them you need certain ones to combo with other ones.
Yeah.
And if you have one of the ones that need a combo and you don't have the other combo that speaks to it, then it's kind of pointless. But like you said, that's the luck of the draw. It's kind of part of the game, and you try and adapt all the time to different games. If that doesn't work, you kind of have to, I have to sell this, even though I know it's really good, but will I hold out and try and
Keep it
wait for this
going.
good card to show up?
Yeah, you kind of have to go either all in your deck build, or you kind of got to take the risk and sell it off. Because I think very early on you showed me this game and I played it, and there were jokers that you had never seen.
Yeah,
But
there's
they
still
were
jokers I've never
that
seen.
steel combo one that you were just like, this is actually the best combo ever.
Yeah.
Like, and it was kind of one of those, I did so well that I was like, great, I never have to play this game again. I just did well, I'm good.
You're terrible for that.
But I obviously don't own this game, so I'm playing it off of your like things, but I would definitely buy this game actually on Switch. I was even thinking about it for Christmas, like, do I buy it for myself or
Good Switch game.
because it is just a great handheld game. Play. We were even considering getting it for like our phones when we were going on holidays, but it hadn't been out yet. Just to play in the queue, because most people, like, if like we went to Disney, you're going to be standing in a queue, so it's either you play heads up or like you chat and scroll on your phones for like the hour you're waiting, or you could play Balatro.
Perfect queue game.
It is. Although I learned not to play any queue games that were set on our phones from, what was it, last year, was it? We went in a queue game. It was Threes.
Oh, Threes. That
So
another
mad
great queue
at
game.
me.
I was getting mad at you.
I beat his score.
I was
in
mad
one
at you.
game.
Yeah, I'm not even going to go there. Yeah.
I spent the rest of the trip trying to beat it. I was like, I'm never touching your phone again. It's fine.
I've had Threes for as long as I've had a phone, like 10 years, and I had a certain high score. I handed the phone to you once and you beat my high score after me playing it for 10 years.
But we play it in two different styles, because I play a game that's similar. I think it's like 2028. So you're trying to get to that score and then like keep building and building and building. So I'm playing off of that style of like my combinations, versus you weren't combining to make up to that point. So that's how
I was
beat
just
you.
a stupid dummy. Yeah.
No, it was just so interesting to see, like, at the end of the day, what's a different gameplay. But I think that's the thing, is that's why I say, like, oh, I never need to play this game again, because like I won it, I don't need to. But that's only because I don't own it. I would love to play this game. You were only playing it the other day as like a chill game to play while I was playing other games.
It's so easy to play and it's so easy to pick up. It's like the perfect Steam Deck game. It's the perfect portable game. And it's so disappointing that this didn't exist until now, but I'm glad it exists in general. It's one of the best games ever made. It's just tremendous. Like, I've said that a lot today. Best games ever made. I've noticed that's come out of my mouth a lot. But this really is. This changes card games. It's so addictive. It's so easy to pick up and play. The presentation is beautiful. The art is wonderful. The little flourishes. The soundtrack is lovely. And the feeling of the multipliers, and like numbers go up and they roll, and then the fire starts when you get a huge score, and it's like
combo.
Wow, yeah, crazy good. Opening card packs like as we see on the screen here, and getting like super jacked up cards. That it's just that it's typifies that just one more turn play. Typifies it. It's perfect. Yeah. It's probably the quintessential arcade card game. It's up there with the best card games ever made. Slay the Spire, Balatro, two of the best to ever do it. Kings, literally. King, Queen, Joker, Jack, 10, Royal Flush. Oh, I mean this.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And that's all you need to say on it and everything.
It is, yeah, that's it. It's just the perfect. Please buy Balatro Whopper game. 2024. There's a big update. He said in 2025 there's like a DLC for it, and this game deserves all the DLC. I imagine there's like new Jokers, new seals, or something like that.
New planetary cards. Like there's so many different things. Like if you played it, you understand the lingo, but like otherwise, bonus cards, power cards.
This would be, if you've never played this would be one of the best games you could pick up on Christmas Day. Imagine you wake up and then like somebody has gifted you in your Steam library or Steam Deck a Balatro, and you've never played it before, but you've seen people talk about it. But I'm like, oh, don't know, card game, no, class, absolutely deadly. Yeah, 100%.
Excellent.